Hello, welcome back to Behind the Filter. Of course, another Unfiltered Weekly edition. So I got some more news for you this week. I know I said After Dark was going to come back and Ashley was going to come back, but you know what? Your girl, as in me, I got sick, okay? A lot of you might not know this. More people don't than not. Wait, I did not say that right. More people probably don't know about this about me. Only very few, actually, probably now that I think about it. So I have an autoimmune disorder. I know Ashley and I have both talked about this on our After Dark editions. And long story short, I got diagnosed back in 2012. I've had 6 surgeries. I've had 3 organs removed. And when I get sick, I get sick. It sucks. It looks like I'm fine on the outside, but on the inside, I am dying. And there's a lot of issues and things that happen. And so when that happens, that literally puts me out for a hot minute. So it's all my fault. It's me. I'm the problem. Yes. So Ashley will be back very soon, and we'll come back with some more After Dark editions, as well as the interviewed segment of Behind the Filter, which, I haven't been able to really be around people. So I've just been really trying to just focus on work and get home and go to bed because my body has just needed rest. So that's what I've been doing. But I do have a collection of stories that I want to share with you this week. I hope you enjoyed last week's of Unfiltered Weekly. Again, I know we're a little bit late this week, but your girl was trying to get healthy again. I do feel a lot better. So make sure you guys follow us all over social media. I do a lot of my news content on my TikTok page. So if you want to follow me there, not so much on Instagram. I feel like that's a whole nother ball game in terms of the algorithm and stuff. So make sure you do that, or you just listen to us and you download wherever you listen to your podcasts, and you can also follow us on YouTube. So let's get right into it, because I got a good couple of stories I wanted to share today that I found actually within the last few days. And some of them are a little bit lengthier than others. So the first one I wanted to touch base on that I actually saw last week was in regards to basically birth control, okay? Meds and birth control. This is actually coming from the state of Texas. A Texas woman has sued Pfizer, claiming that the contraceptive injection Provera, caused her to develop basically a brain tumor. So this is out of Houston, Texas, and it's a specific type of brain cancer, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, so we're just going to skip over the name. I've tried to say it a couple times, and I'm done. All right, so here's the details of the Houston lawsuit. So the plaintiff, her name is Kayon Reed. She's 27 years old, of Houston. She used the Depo-Provera shot for 4 years, ended it in 2020. After her symptoms worsened, Reed had further testing done in 2023. At that point, her doctors found a 3-centimeter tumor, and she went under a 16-hour surgery. Due to the tumor's location, surgeons were not able to completely remove it. So here are specifically the allegations. The lawsuit, which is filed by attorney Ed Blizzard, claims that Pfizer failed to warn patients about the drug's risks of getting these brain tumors. It cites a 2024 French study in the British Medical Journal that found a significantly increased risk of intracranial tumors with prolonged Depo-Provera use. It also alleges that Pfizer acted negligently by not properly testing the drug long-term and basically putting profits over patient safety. The lawsuit notes that warning labels about the risks exist in other countries, such as Canada and Europe, but not in the United States. So I thought that was really interesting. So the Houston lawsuit is actually part of a larger ongoing legal challenge against Pfizer regarding the Depo-Provera shot and brain tumors. It's actually a multi-district litigation. So there's actually similar lawsuits that are happening across the U.S. and have been consolidated into an MDL in the Northern District of Florida. So you have that case, right? You have another Texas case in July of 2025. The family of another Texas woman, her name is Anita Peterson. Her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Pfizer. Peterson died in October 2024 from a brain hemorrhage caused by an undiagnosed brain tumor which the family attributes to her long-term use of that same shot. Pfizer's defense says in a statement sent over to a Fox affiliate, which is actually Fox 26 in Houston, Pfizer denied the allegations in Reed's case and said it would vigorously defend itself. Okay. So what is this specific brain tumor? I think it's meningioma. It's a tumor that forms in basically the layers of tissue covering the brain and spinal cord. While it's typically benign, it can cause serious neurological problems by pressing onto the brain, nerves, vessels. In severe cases, it can also lead to seizures, cognitive impairment, vision loss, and require surgery or radiation. So we'll see how that goes. But I think there's been lots of studies that show, obviously long-term use of different types of medications, unfortunately, do cause reactions such as this. And I just think it's us necessarily being more diligent and make sure we just know what we're getting into when we're using something like that. But if this is not even something that was, said and done and printed on and explained in other countries and not in the US, and obviously I feel like that would be a situation there. The next story I wanted to touch base on is on child exploitation. So if you follow me on TikTok, I have this thing, not this thing, I just do it. I am obviously, I think as everybody else should, are just obviously are not fans, for lack of the matter, of anybody who are child predators and they exploit children and minors. And in my line of work, there are tons of different types of crimes that we report on. I specifically hone on to the child exploitation, and I think it's just due to my personal background. That'll be for another time and another story, but I have been a victim of that growing up, and I feel like it's kind of like my call and my duty because I know what it did to me mentally, physically, and emotionally. And so now I call these motherfuckers out. That's just what I do. So I wanted to actually talk about this because this is a little bit different, okay? It says there's a major lawsuit, and you guys have probably actually heard this because this is kind of starting to make its rounds all over social media. That's putting two of the biggest names in the digital world under a harsh spotlight. So we're talking about Roblox and Meta. I think we've all heard the rumblings of what has been going on with Roblox and their chat rooms and how there are child predators in their chat rooms, and there's no way to screen what is going on. So this is actually coming out of Denver. A Denver family is taking these tech giants to court, alleging their platforms played a direct role in the sexual exploitation and grooming of their young daughter. This story, I'm going to read it all. It's crazy. This is an incredibly serious claim, and the lawsuit paints a picture of a digital environment where dangers are not just present, but are allegedly enabling the very companies that created them. You're enabling these people who are child predators. So here are the allegations. It's a 119-page lawsuit that was filed on behalf of the minor. They refer to her as Jane Doe and her parent. The suit claims that Roblox, with its over 100 million daily users, and Instagram, which is owned by Meta, made a series of representations that were negligent in their duty to protect children. The family's lawyer argues that even with parental controls, these platforms are designed in a way that allows children to be exposed to explicit content and to be easily targeted by predators. The lawsuit alleges that predators often start their interactions on Roblox before and then moving their conversations to Instagram, when then they can communicate through an unmonitored voice, video, and text messages. So here is now Roblox's and Meta's apparent defense in this. Both companies have issued statements in response to the lawsuit. Roblox maintains that user safety is a top priority. They say they dedicate significant resources, including advanced technology and 24/7 human moderation, to prevent inappropriate content and behavior. Roblox also says it has implemented rigorous safeguards like restricting the sharing of personal information and prohibiting sexual conversations. They add that they work with law enforcement and child safety organizations to combat the exploitation of children. For its part, Meta says the child exploitation is a horrific crime and that online predators are determined criminals. The company uses what it's called sophisticated technology and works with the groups like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to find, report predators. Meta also points out that it automatically places teens under 16 into a teen account with built-in protections. So here's the story on the family's end, okay? But the lawsuit includes a harrowing account of what happened to the family's daughter. Her mother had monitored her Roblox use and limited her access, yet the lawsuit claims a predator was able to use a platform to identify, groom, and coerce the girl into sending sexually explicit images of herself. The girl, who had no prior Instagram account, was allegedly directed by the predator to create one to continue their conversation. The family's attorney says that because of the traumatic experience, the girl has faced multiple hospitalizations, suicidal thoughts, and self-harm. They state in the complaint her innocence has been snatched from her forever. Beyond the individual story, the lawsuit also highlights the systemic flaws here. It points out that Roblox account creation requires only a username and password and a self-reported birthday date with no verification. So there you have it. This allows users to lie about their age and bypass the apparent safety features that they claim they have. The lawsuit also claims that some experiences or mini games created by third parties on the platform have featured sexually explicit content for years. It even alleges that some users are pressured to send explicit photos or perform explicit acts for in-game currency known as Robux. I mean, I cannot. Wow. This case is part of a larger trend as multiple law firms and even the Louisiana Attorney General have filed similar lawsuits against Roblox in recent weeks. So obviously, this is more than just an isolated incident. There's lots of other things happening here, which is just absolutely crazy. It's like we already have a ton of online predators already on social media. And so you would think the places that kids play online that are supposed to be safe for kids and teens, they work themselves right into that space. And it is just so sad that you have a child that probably loves to play that game and loves to be in those rooms, and they have no idea that they're being targeted. It's a sad, sad world when we have to start essentially like micromanaging any type of access that our children have because they're just so impressionable and they're not fully developed in terms of like their logic and their thinking and their thought process and all of that stuff. And it's horrible. So we're going to move on over from Roblox. I do actually have a story on immigration. Obviously, immigration is a very hot topic, continues still to be a very hot topic. I actually, this will probably get released after the fact, but today on TikTok, I actually talked about a story that doesn't have anything to do with what I was going to talk originally about now, but I'm just saying like every day there is something different on immigration. And they had kids on a plane to be sent back to Guatemala, and a judge blocked the order. And so I'm not sure by this time this episode gets released where that's going to stand, where the children are going to go, if they're going to go back to Guatemala, if they're staying here. The Guatemalan government is citing that they wanted to get them in a space that would be safe because some of those teens are in their late teens. And then if they turn 18, they're scared of them going into an ICE facility, considering they're still a teenager. There's lots of loopholes and gray areas and all of those things. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with that situation and what the administration is going to come out in response. I mean, they already did come out with a response on it. Again, we're talking about Labor Day weekend that they try to do all of this. So they were supposed to fly out early this morning, and that did not happen. And then the administration did issue a response, which you can find that on my TikTok. I don't remember exactly by hand or by thought, I guess you could say, of what it said, but I do know it's probably going to be an ongoing conversation this week. This is a different part of immigration, though. It says, in an effort to tackle a massive backlog of over 3 million immigration cases, the Department of Justice has made a big change to its hiring policy for immigration judges. So here's the new DOJ policy. The DOJ's Office of Immigration Review has published a new rule that changes the requirements for serving as a temporary immigration judge. Previously, these temporary jurists were required to have substantive experience in immigration law. Now, this new rule removes that requirement, allowing Attorney General Pam Bondi to approve attorneys for the role, even if they don't have a background in immigration. So why the change? It says, according to the DOJ, this change is based on the belief that prior immigration law experience isn't a strong predictor of a judge's success. The department has had positive experiences hiring individuals from other federal agencies who did not specialize in immigration, but who became exemplary judges. The DOJ also argues that there's no clear reason to disqualify attorneys who have argued before prominent courts in non-immigration matters. This new policy is a direct response to the overwhelming backlog of cases and is an attempt to get more judges on the bench to quickly address the issue. So moving on to forward that, so we have this section where, they're doing a new policy so that they can hopefully streamline the immigration process. I do know that there is a backlog, so there's probably going to be a positive and a negative to that. And then the plan, there's an additional military base used for immigration that's coming along. So it says the federal government seems to be expanding its immigration crackdown, and now it's on over to the third largest city, which is Chicago of the United States. So the Department of Homeland Security has requested support from Naval Station Great Lakes, a military base, which is actually just 35 miles north of the city. Details are pretty scarce. There's not very much information about it. The request, in quotes, is just for limited support, but it has sparked some backlash and confusion among Chicago officials and residents. So we have seen both sides. And I've actually seen this on social media as well. I have one side saying Chicago doesn't want it, Chicago doesn't need it, we have everything that we need, we have everything that we want. But then I also see people in Chicago saying, no, we need it, we need help, the crime is still bad, we need this addressed. So they're just basically arguing back and forth, which I have no idea how this is going to work, because it's essentially kind of like a political standoff. Says a spokesperson for the military base confirmed the request, but noted that no final decisions have been made. The Illinois National Guard has also stated that it has not received any official request for a mobilization. So it's saying that basically the move is seen as a larger part to escalate immigration enforcement in the Democratic-led sanctuary cities that have been at odds with the administration policies. In response, the city leaders are preparing for a potential standoff, with the police superintendent stating that the local officers will do just that. So I guess, again, this is a wait and see what happens, because obviously they have been butting heads throughout this entire administration and what Chicago has been doing. Okay, moving on to we're getting through it, because your girl's got some stories today, man. This actually dives into the military, specifically the Navy. So I saw this last week, and I thought this was really interesting about what this person had gone through. It says the service is facing a new congressional probe and serious questions over its handling of traumatic brain injuries among its elite aviators. So here are the accusations of that. The new investigation from the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform has revealed concerns that the Navy may be failing to properly track, understand, or even address brain injuries in pilots and flight officers. The inquiry was spurred by public reports, including a secret internal Navy project code named Project Odin's Eye that looked into the health risks of high-speed flight. So the issue stems from the physical toll of years of flying can take on the human body. Pilots endure intense G-forces during aerial maneuvers and the violent jolts of catapult takeoffs and arrested landings on aircraft carriers. These repeated shocks to the brain are now being linked to a range of symptoms. So we're talking from cognitive dysfunction to mental health issues like anxiety, depression, and even suicide. There have been reports of at least 3 fighter pilots in their 40s who have died by suicide within a few months of each other, all of whom had symptoms consistent with brain injuries. So now you have that, the accusations, and now here you have the Navy's response for this. While the Navy has publicly denied the link between flying and the brain trauma, the House Committee's investigation suggests otherwise. The lawmaker's letter to the Navy, or to the Secretary of Navy, points out that the Navy has never conducted a comprehensive investigation into the psychological effects of flight operation on its personnel. The committee is demanding reports, data, and studies related to the mental and physical health of F-18 aviators. So this just really honestly highlights the growing concern that the long-term cumulative effects of military service are just not adequately being addressed. And I think that probably says a lot about the military in general. You have a lot of people and who are veterans and people who come back from being somewhere, being on deployment and going through these rough instances, and they come back and they have PTSD, and they're not being addressed. Their stories are not being heard, and they're not being looked after. And this is just one section of it that probably has been really just overlooked 100%. All right, so we got into I guess the heaviness out of some of the news stories out of the way today. The next few I want to talk about are going to be a little bit on the lighter side, kind of like interesting on some things. So I saw this on the New York Post, and I was just like, what in the world? You know, we talk a lot about trends here on Unfiltered Weekly, and as well as every single podcast episode. This one is called the menodivorce. The menodivorce trend, as in menopause. So now we have menopause. We have cougar puberty that I talked about the week before. And now we have menodivorce. So a new report from the New York Post highlights a growing trend where middle-aged women are leaving their marriages at an increasing rate, often during the years of perimenopause and menopause. The article notes that while overall divorce rates are down, they're actually rising for couples over the age of 50. What is my computer doing right now? Something's popping up. Hold on. Sorry. The report features a lady. Her name is Melissa McClure. She's a 44-year-old photographer who ended her 14-year marriage after experiencing perimenopause. She describes the decision not as a midlife crisis, but sort of an awakening that gave her the clarity to seek a new and happier life for herself. So what's behind the trend? Experts quoted in the article, including an OBGYN and a therapist, say the hormonal changes during menopause can bring a new sense of clarity. Symptoms like hot flashes and sleepiness can amplify existing feelings of dissatisfaction and bring long-standing issues to the surface, such as feelings of feeling undervalued or carrying a disproportionate mental load in the relationship. The report also cites a survey where 70% of women said that menopausal changes contributed to the breakdown of their marriage. While some of the women find that menopause can bring them closer to their partners through open communication, others, like McClure, decided that divorce was the right path to take. This trend is sparking a conversation about the need for more understanding and support for women as they navigate significant life change. I have seen so much on perimenopause and menopause, and it's probably, when you're on social media and you start to research something and, you press one thing and then all of a sudden it literally becomes your feed. Everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, the internet. For example, I clicked on, I'm having an issue with one of my kitties. Raul, I love him to death, but at the same time, he's an asshole. Why? Because he keeps peeing on my bed. And I'm getting so frustrated with him. Anyhow, I'm at my wit's end. For some reason, I came across this forum on Facebook, and there were other cat owners having similar issues. So they recommended a certain type of kitty litter that attracts the kitty to it. So it helps them not mark in other places. So I was like, oh, this is great. At this point, I'm about to try damn well anything. Okay. So I went ahead and ordered it. After I ordered it, do you know every single little thing that's popping up now on social media, on the internet, has something to do with my cats? It's either getting a therapist or a doctor for my cat. Obviously, cat videos are a given. But now it's more like, oh, does your cat need help? Do you need a doctor? Do you need a vet? do you need aromatherapy for your cat? And I'm like, damn, I just pressed on one video. Okay. Well, anyways, just to connect the two. So like same thing, like I'm in perimenopause. So now like if I stay on a video for longer than 0.25 seconds, all of a sudden my FYP thinks like that those are the only videos I want to see. So I am coming across a lot of these articles just about perimenopause and menopause. And so how understudied it is and how women feel very much in the dark when they go through this season of life. And it really does suck. But what she said here, I find it very, very interesting. When she said to the reporter of the New York Post, she describes the decision not as a midlife crisis, but as sort of a awakening that gave her the clarity to seek new and happier life for herself. I think a lot of women, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm in my 40s, I'll be 43 at the end of the month. I personally feel like women don't really come fully into themselves until they're in their 40s. And I say that because A, I'm a woman. B, I live the shit. Okay. C, I'm in my 40s. Okay. So I have multiple reasons why for me to say this. I have never been so sure of what I wanted and knowing what makes me happy and what makes me fulfilled. I'm in a season of I am fulfilling my life. I'm not living my life for someone else so that I can make somebody else happy. I'm making myself happy, and therefore I want to make others happy. There's a difference in that. And I think sometimes you don't have that life experience, and sometimes you just don't have that knowledge and that wisdom until you hit your 40s. So I can see that, maybe, she had a 14-year marriage and she got into perimenopause and she had just these light bulbs go off and these awakenings. And, you do go through hormonal changes and you have your emotions that are going up and down with what you are experiencing. And sometimes, an awakening can come through that. So divorce, obviously, sometimes good, sometimes bad. Maybe in this case for her, it's something that she needed to do to live a completely fulfilled life on her end. And so I think that's just really interesting how that time frame is when, this is happening. And in my personal opinion, I feel like that only happens because women don't really know what the fuck they're doing until they're 40. It is what it is, So I thought that was super interesting. Okay, so here's another thing I wanted to touch on, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up for this week. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I am dying to try some of this. So obviously I came from the bodybuilding world. I always need my protein, and I've been really, really bad at just having my protein intake. So I came across clear protein. So it's kind of a new thing that has been coming around. Probably, I don't know how long, but for me, it's been new in terms of me seeing it and seeing like actually what it is. So what is clear protein? If you ever use traditional protein powder, it mixes into a thick, milky, and sometimes chalky shake. Clear protein is a game changer. It's made from whey protein isolate, but it undergoes a special filtration process that removes most of the fat and lactose. So what you're left with is actually the fine powder that when you mix it with water becomes more of a light, translucent, refreshing drink, much more like a juice or a sports drink. So that was the one thing that I've always had issues with because of part of my immune disorder is my body for some reason can't digest certain type of protein powders and protein drinks. There are certain brands out there that do me in. Like if I drink it, done for the day. There are other brands that, I can survive on. But then one day, if I have too much of it, then my digestion is all messed up. I have the worst stomach ache for hours and it just doesn't help. So when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, this would be amazing because obviously I need to drink a ton of water. And I don't just like drinking water. I like water that has some type of flavoring in it. And so if I could get clear protein to mix with water, it's like a Powerade. It's perfect. Okay. So here are the benefits. It's light, refreshing. Many people find traditional protein shakes heavy, unappealing, especially after a tough workout. Oh, it's so true. Have you ever tried to have a protein shake after a very hot workout? It makes me feel like I want to throw up. Clear protein solves the problem with its light, fruity flavors and juice-like consistency. It's easy to digest. See? Okay. Same protein, different experience. Clear protein still delivers a powerful dose of high-quality protein, typically around 20 grams per serving. It provides the same benefits for muscle repair, growth as a traditional shake, but it basically just doesn't have the heaviness to it. So, is it worth the hype? For many, clear protein isn't just a trend, it's a solution for a real problem. If you're someone who doesn't enjoy the taste of texture, which for me, sometimes it is really a texture thing, of a traditional protein shake, clear protein offers a convenient and delicious way to meet your daily protein goals. It's a great way to stay hydrated and fueled, making it a perfect addition to any active lifestyle. Okay, so here's the deal. I have not been approached by any companies to try clear protein. Hint, hint. If you find me and if you have clear protein, I would more than happy be your guinea pig to try them. I just start to look it up because I was curious because, in general, protein can be expensive, right? So I Googled a couple of places. The first thing that popped up when I Googled for clear protein, it's called Seek Supply. So they basically have a ton of different type of clear proteins with all different flavors. So we're talking juicy peach, raspberries, mango pineapple, fruit punch, watermelon wave, strawberry lemonade, those are the smaller packs. I thought it was going to be a different watermelon. So you can do a one-time purchase, you can do a subscribe and save. So this one actually comes in like a protein tub like you would normally do with regular protein. The only thing I'm seeing is obviously I feel like there is a big price difference in this, okay? Because this tub only has 22 servings per container. So we're getting about 22 grams of protein per serving, which is great. 2 carbs. This is awesome. It's gluten-free, made in a nut-free facility, lactose-free, caffeine-free, awesome, soy-free, perfect. So you can do this subscribe and save. It's $43.20 for 22 servings. If you try for a one-time purchase, that's $54. Typically, I feel like you get 28 to 30 servings for normal protein tubs. So I feel like there is slightly a price increase in this. However, if it's going to save me from being on the floor all day, I will try it. The other one I also looked up, which I thought was different. It's actually, they're already made drinks, which is obviously going to be way more expensive, okay? This one is off of Clean Simple Eats. So it's clear protein water. It's kind of in a giant, I guess you can say when you get a big White Claw or a Liquid Death. These have, so let's see, we have coconut cream, blue ras, prickly pear, dragon fruit, you have a variety pack, tropical orange, you have clear protein plus energy. So they have lots of different types, right? So this one, coconut cream, if I just open that up, the price jumps dramatically. So this has less amount of protein, 20 grams of protein. It's already pre-mixed for you. So you just basically grab it and go and you drink it. But the 12 pack for this is $42.99. So you can see that obviously you are going to pay for something that's a little bit different, but it may help your digestive system and it may help you process protein a little bit better. I know I have those issues where the protein, man, it gets you so much. So, hey, I don't want to say I'm whoring myself out, but I will be your guinea pig. I will try the clean protein. So those are the news stories I have for you this week. I tried to pick a couple of things that I just found really interesting. Obviously, some that were a little bit heavier, things that are affecting our day-to-day culture and lifestyle, even when it comes to a little bit more of the tough things that we all have really, really specific views on, to things that can make you think and to things that are going to be a little bit lighter in the sense of, I don't know how light a menodivorce is, but maybe the clear protein is a little bit of a lighter conversation. Who knows? Also, I wanted to say that there was also that I had found, and I will get to this a little bit more, that I was going to talk about, but then after I read the article, I was like, yeah, I don't know about this. This is actually also from the New York Post. It says singles sick of swiping on giving up apps looking for love on hiking trails. And it says in quotes, here at least people don't ghost you. So there is a new group in New York where they go hiking and they do outdoor things in replacing of the dating apps. And so they like it because obviously you're getting more face-to-face interaction with somebody. You're meeting somebody. You're not just swiping left, swiping right, having these dumbass conversations back and forth. And people don't ghost you because they're right in front of you. So I thought it was kind of interesting. And then I read the article and I was like, it's okay. Unless you're the hiking person. Maybe I didn't like it because I don't like to hike. I don't know. Thanks for joining us on this week's Unfiltered Weekly. Hope you like some of the stories this week. We will be back with After Dark and more interview segments on lots of different things. I'm working on a couple different things, but of course, me getting sick just kind of like threw a wrench in my plan. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.